Hi, today I want to talk about a setting that I went to see for the first time about just over 2 years ago. Now, this particular setting had been on the market with another broker and had been on the market for about 2 years at that point, but not with much success. So they'd had a few viewings, though not many, and had some offers, but not great ones. They were struggling to kind of get feedback on, why maybe it wasn't selling, what wasn't appealing to people. So I went in and did a completely free of charge, no obligation valuation. The idea being that we could kind of sit and really break down the numbers, see where they were at that moment in time, and maybe kind of see why the market wasn't responding to their marketing. You could see it was a fantastic setting. It was gorgeous, fantastic location, brilliant area, very, very well run. But actually there was one thing in it that really I could see was probably going to be causing problems. And that's because, as well as being a day nursery, they had a very small private primary school there. So this is still quite rare in this sector, where people kind of mix between early years and primary school. What it was actually, while it added a great unique selling point to this particular setting, it was quite hard for buyers to visualise what that was going to look like and see what it would look like taking that on. Because in reality, it just seemed like another set of Ofsted, different curriculum, and quite a lot of extra work in an area that maybe they didn't feel completely comfortable with. So when we were looking at the settings and we were looking at the costs and breakdowns and the EBITDA, we kind of looked at it on the basis of, okay, well, actually, what is the nursery doing at the moment? What is the school doing at the moment? And when we really kind of burrowed down into the figures, we were looking at the school was great to have and was turning a profit, but actually, in comparison to the nursery, wasn't quite there. Sometimes I find settings where there are these things that are almost like a passion project, and you can see the sellers just absolutely adore them and it's exactly what they want to do. But sometimes when you come to market, you need to think about actually how transferable is this? Are there other people out there doing the same sort of thing or wanting to do the same sort of thing? And I think we had to accept with this particular setting that wasn't the case. I completed the valuation for them, but actually, it was about another year before I spoke to them again. They continued marketing and didn't really get much further. But actually, in that year, they also took a lot of the suggestions I'd made and started implementing them within the setting with a view of saying, well, if we don't get it sold, then we can make it changes now to see if we can make it more attractive to market further down the line. About a year later, we revisited the valuation, and actually what they'd done is they slowly started winding down the school with a view of stopping that completely, and they had a date in mind, and also looked to build up the nursery and utilise that space for the nursery instead. The figures showed a change already, and you could see where they were going to go in the long run. At this point, we actually ended up taking them to market. And marketing-wise, it came out and actually it hit the ground running. We had a huge amount of interest and about 5 or 6 viewings in the first month and a half, and some really, really keen interest. We agreed a deal based on the nursery only, and actually that completed earlier this year. So for them, their marketing sale had been about 4 years in total, but actually only about 9 months with me from start to finish. Sometimes what you need is just a fresh set of eyes. I think sometimes you feel like you know everything about your business, you know everything about your setting, you know exactly what people are going to think about it. But it's like anything. It's when you buy a house and you go in and think, what was this person thinking when they put that kitchen in? It worked for them. It doesn't necessarily mean it works for your buyers. So you need to make sure that you've got an external set of eyes, someone else who's looking at it going, I can see why you do this. I can see why you love it. But I can also see why your buyers aren't embracing it. And what do we need to do to make sure that we can actually go out and find you either the buyer who will embrace it or find another solution that allows you to exit the business. I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions, please do get in touch and I'll speak to you again soon.